Hey everybody, Darren Yankee here with Echo Y Farms, just checking out some of our stockpile pastures. We are looking at the 21st of November today. This particular pasture has not been grazed for 17 months, so quite a long time. We have about 100 acres of this same pasture. We also have another 100 acres of stockpile pasture as well. That pasture was grazed in March and April. So it was grazed once this season, but really early. So that stuff is just as big and mature as this particular paddock is that we're standing in. Some of the reasons that we leave the forage get mature, long rest periods, is we are creating habitat for some of our wildlife around the farm. We have a lot of turkeys and other critters that are out in these pastures throughout the summer. A lot of birds hang out here. As well as when we do get into winter and the cattle start grazing these pastures off, that tall grass kind of helps the cattle find the pasture. It sticks through the snow. That sun melts the snow around that stem of grass, so it's easier for the cattle to kind of get down in there and start munching on that forage. So when they're out here grazing these pastures, all they'll get is pasture, and they do have a protein tub that we do supplement them with. It's a 200-pound tub that we drag behind the UTV and pull it out here for the cattle and just keep moving it around from paddock to paddock. So besides that protein tub, a little C90 sea salt and stockpile pasture, that's all I get. We've been getting a lot of questions about feeding hay out here at the same time as the cattle are eating these stockpile pastures. And that you could do that if you wanted to. But our goal is low input cattle, keep in condition through the winter months on stockpile forage with minimal labor. Now you start bringing hay out to them, starts costing money, and you gotta have time to unroll the hay or feed the hay out here in the pastures. So that's all another step that we're trying to avoid. Trying to make the cattle work for us, not work for the cattle. So if we look kind of over in this area of the pasture, and we did some waterline projects this summer. You kind of see over that way, there's a trail going through that tall grass. So this part of the pasture, we had mowed down with a rotary mower in late July. So you can kind of see how much regrowth we got since then. It's been a really dry fall. Them plants are about 1.5 feet tall, maybe 20 inches. So just looking at if you would start stockpiling your pastures midsummer or early fall, what type of growth are you really getting? And you know, when you start getting that snow and that snow starts matting down this nice lush pasture forage, it's hard for the cattle to get to it. That's why you need to have some rigidity, some lignin out there sticking through that snow to kind of help everything underneath them tall plants out here, kind of help hold everything up so the cattle have a better chance of eating it. Because you just take a look at this clump right in front of us. There's some green grass in there. There's some fine dead grass in here, but it's really fine grass. And then you have your old sticks of straw sticking up. So that'll be all above the snow, and then the snow will be covering this nice lusher grass. But the cattle should have an opportunity at least to get through that snow to eat down in there and find that nice, softer grass. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you guys can look at stockpile in different times of the year. You can start doing stockpile pastures. For us, we like the season-long stuff. It's really big. We keep the cattle pretty tight out here. We haven't started grazing the stockpile yet, but I know last year, some of the stockpile pastures we were running were at about 7/10 of an acre per day. And at that time, we had 80 to 90 head grazing stockpile pastures and 7 to 8/10 of an acre per day. So really making them eat it down, because if they don't eat this, it's just going to be laying here on top of the soil, going to waste. So the males eat it down to the ground, get as much utilization out of this as we can. We didn't graze it all summer long, so we need as many tons per acre off this one grazing to help pay its way, right? Because if it doesn't pay its way with this one grazing, maybe we're doing it all wrong. So we gotta keep the cattle confined down tight, move them multiple times per day so they get an even intake of this pasture. So they're not coming in and eating all the really nice stuff and leaving the old stemmy stuff to last. Because if you're only moving them once every 3 days, that's what they're going to do. They're going to come in, eat all the better, softer stuff, and then leave the stemmy old stuff to last. And then they won't want to eat it. So we got to keep them moving, give them a little slice every few hours during the daytime. Keep them cattle happy. But yeah, that's just a little bit about what the stockpile pastures are looking like this late in November. And we will be starting to graze the pastures that have been stockpiled in about a week from now, I'm anticipating. So we're coming off some lusher pastures and heading into these stockpile paddocks at that point in time. So I might do another video once we do get the cattle out in some of these pastures and kind of see how they're doing on them, see how much they're eating down and utilization that we are getting, and kind of come up with a number of dry matter tons that we are getting utilized off of each acre. Once we get rolling through, we can kind of come up with some numbers and get you guys some more information. But for now, thanks for following along. Appreciate it. You guys have a great one.